Finally, finally, we're here. My PC decided to completely crash and just went, nope, not doing it, just as I was about to go live. So, apologies. Sincere apologies. Thank you all for waiting for us. I'm so sorry. It's just been one of those days. Actually, no, forget it. It's been one of those weeks, one of those months, one of those years. So, but anyway, here we are. Welcome to Wicked Women. It's Sunday. It's a smidgen past, almost 9:30. We're almost half an hour late. What else are you going to do on a Sunday but watch Wicked Women? I mean, it's what Sundays are made for, aren't they? A little bit of Wicked. So here I am, and flying solo. Yeah, it's just me. What do you want to talk about? What are we going to talk about tonight, guys? Come on, just ask Wendy questions. Actually, no, I am not flying solo, but my co-host, yeah, I'm going to have to give it attention. This is the third week she's not been here. She might come and join us, but I have a feeling it's her mom's birthday, so I don't think she'll be here today. But we'll let her off. Any more, Val? Detention. So it is coming live from London, UK, and I'm also coming live from Virginia, USA. And my other little co-pilot that's on here tonight is also coming from London, UK. So London's the main city tonight, you know. Anyway, I'm going to bring in the lovely Spucky, my fellow British host, and let's go. Hello, darling.
Hello, darling. How are you?
I'm glad to be here because I didn't think I was going to be here.
Well, you know, just a little bit of an elbow to the computer is all that really was needed.
The old days, love, when we used to crank them up. Not anymore. Do you remember when we used to switch the internet on and it would go in like AOL?
Yeah.
Literally, if you see me looking over, it's because of the dog. Yeah, literally those days. But it just decided to crash. But how are you all? How are you? How's your week?
All right. I actually was away this week. I was away on holiday.
Yeah.
It was rather nice actually. It was rather nice. Played a lot of pool. Went to the pool. Ate some good food, and then obviously came to see you on Friday. And I just happened to be a day that you decided that you wanted to go and see The Huntress.
I know.
Why not?
And off we popped to see The Huntress. Absolutely. Now we have got the new code word on Wicked Women, and it's called squirrel. And you might hear us mention it a couple of times because our lovely other co-host, who I'm about to bring in from Virginia, knows that word so well. He's just had his hair done. He looks really amazing. So let's bring him in. The lovely Michael. Hello, darling.
Hello, darlings. Yeah, squirrel. Yeah. Unmedicated, unapologetic.
But you look amazing. I love the hair.
$80 later, you know, my stylist at Sports Clips, Miss Diane, is a lovely, lovely lady. I told her, I said, we need to get this done in a hurry. I'm late.
Yeah.
Then
Well,
it's like,
not worried because while you were getting here to this show to start it, my PC crashed. So, but you look really lovely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, like I said, you know, she don't have much to work with, but that woman she's magical when you sit down in that chair. You feel like $1 million when you come out. And then she said, I told her, I said, you know how she wants it done? She said, oh, I've got notes. She rolls out the notes, and so
I don't know who they're talking about. You and Sparky are almost wearing similar colours. Like there's an army thing going on here, and there's me in red.
Yeah. Because a few minutes ago I told you I was like, I don't have any clean black T-shirts.
So I'll excuse you two for wearing green because it's always red, black, and white. But
yeah. And Valerie said last night that now we have glitter for Wicked Women, which I did not know that was a thing, but yeah, I guess
who doesn't need glitter? Let's be honest, Wicked Women glitter. So tonight's show is Bad Romance, and this has come home to me. This episode quite a lot this week, talking to certain people who are involved in relationships that know they shouldn't be in these relationships, but for some reason they can't seem to break it. It's like, well, we're together, we're not together. 1 minute, I love them, but I can't stand how they treat me. It's been going on and on and on. And so I've got to a point where I'm like, I have to do a show on this because it's driving me insane, Sparky. And I know we've all been there, done it, and ticked it off, but I had to do it because you know what? You see these things on Facebook and social media, people talking about their public life and private life and putting it out there. 1 minute they're together, next minute they're single, next minute they're whatever. And you just think, are we still doing that? Are we still doing that? Is that still a big thing?
And it's the fact as well that they decide that they have to put it on social media. It's your personal life. Why are you needing to advertise exactly as to what it is that's going on in your personal life? And especially with something like a relationship, because it's so key for that to be between two people. But if you're putting that on Facebook or just on any kind of social media, you're then including hundreds of other people potentially in something which is supposed to be sacred between two people.
Absolutely. And I find it also weird that I've had a few friends over the last year that have put all their drama on Facebook. And it gets to a point where you're like, I don't think we need to see that. I don't think we need to know that. And I understand that some people use Facebook as a diary, Michael. I understand that they use it as a diary, and they feel they need to put comments out there. And the thing is, they're in a relationship. What the worst thing for me is they're in a relationship, and everyone you see the photographs on Facebook and Instagram, they look happy, they're in love, and everything's wonderful and everything's great. Then all of a sudden you get all this drama. And it's a car crash. You're watching this car crash come. Why are these people, Michael? And there's many reasons, but we're going to look at why are they staying in this particular situation, in this relationship, when A, it's not bringing them what they want, and B, they can't break away.
Sometimes I think it's whatever you get used to becomes your new normal, and it gets so normalized to them that they don't know anything different. And like Sparky said, they are bringing hundreds of other people's opinion into their relationship. And it reminds me of a story that Princess Diana used to say, there's 3 of us in this relationship. 3 in a relationship is bad. But when you bring everybody else with their opinion in from everywhere now, Facebook's worldwide. That's like, and I tell people that, the world has got very small. And you might have people in another country, another culture, is like, they're putting their 2 cents into your relationship, and all of that plays in your head. So, I always say, it's best to keep your private stuff private, handle it in-house, because, the less hands you have in a pie is the less chance you have to screw it up. And if you have all these other things coming in from the outside, relationship's already hard working up as it is without outside interference. And people's like, oh, I would leave him, he's no good for you. And most of the time, the people who are telling you to do something different are already unhappy and miserable. So therefore, they want somebody in the I'm a grumpy old hag club, or or whatever the name is for a man. You know what I'm saying? Misery loves company. And when you put it out there, you're inviting misery in to your relationship. And a lot of times I think they won't, what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? When people put all the stuff out, they're looking for some kind of approval. They're looking for, some kind of validation. That's what it's looking for, validation. And so they're saying, oh, look, we're so happy. Don't you wish you was like us? And it's like, no, this is all fake as shit. And nobody believes this. There's several
Everyone
things.
has their own relationship.
It's it. And my mom, I bless her heart. I used to get so tickled at her. She's like, oh, look, she's found love for the 18th time this year. And it's like, and she had another word. I'm not going to say that because we try to keep it classy, but but it was like the fellow of the day. That cleaned it up.
We covered a few of this a while back, but it's like, what I want to say is like, have you ever looked at a previous relationship and gone, what the hell was I thinking?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Why
or I wasn't thinking.
I
Yeah.
stay with that and realize how unhealthy it was? But at the time, I loved them so much, or they were the the bee's knees to me. And it's like friends and family are saying to you. I mean, I remember being in a very, very unhealthy, toxic relationship, but being so blind and so in love that it took a friend of mine at the time saying, "Well, because you're in a very unhealthy relationship," and I was like, "No, I'm not." And they were like, "Yeah, you are." And it was like, no, I couldn't possibly be. And the thing is, what makes somebody stay? So I'm going to bring this up. One of it is, well, you've been with them for so long. You actually don't know what life is like without them, because decades could have gone past. And also, you're like, I don't want them to be with someone else. I want to be with them forever. And the other person's going, well, I don't want that. I want out. And I think that if you've been in a long-term marriage or a long-term relationship, Sparky, and suddenly someone says to you, this is not what I want, but you're desperate to stay, you are not seeing straight the red flags. You're not seeing what perhaps someone's telling you. Why are we so blind?
I think because we all run on chemicals. That is the scientific side of it. Is we as individuals run on chemicals. Now, being around certain people will give you obviously the good kind of chemicals. Now, if you end up in a relationship and you are there for a long time, you have this almost constant you know how you like to feel, you know how you want to feel, and being around that person can potentially give you those endorphins that you need. But you also get to a point of getting used to being around them, and it becomes habit. But then you're no longer a relationship. You're roommates, for example. And I think a lot of the time when people stay together, they're still chasing that chemical balance that they had originally.
Or the dream, because I actually think that some people don't want to see people for really who they are. And it's like, I remember being terrified of all my power was just in this person's hands, and it was like, I don't want to say the wrong thing because they'll leave. I don't want to, annoy them or upset them because they'll leave. And then when they left, feeling absolutely, I've got to get them back. I've got to get them back. And then throwing all this stuff out there. I love you. The letters, never write letters. The letters, the messages, the songs, sending everything out there. But look at what we've had. It's a wonderful relationship, almost like needing reassurance and showing the person, look, this is an amazing relationship. What are you throwing away? Why do you want to throw this away? And the thing is, if somebody wants to be with you, like we said in a couple of shows back, they'll be with you. But it's like we seem to be, as human beings, we have this sort of capacity to stay in a situation because it's, as you say, financially, children, whatever. But when you're not having sex with someone, as we've covered before on Wicked Women, you are a roommate. Particularly, if you're married or long-term relationship, you're not having sex, you're in separate rooms. There's no jiggery pokery going down in any department. And the next thing you know, you're like, we're just friends who happen to live in the same place. A lot of people fear being alone, and they feel it's better than being with someone than no one. And low self-esteem and self-worth are really, really bad to have, because that will make you stay with someone. I don't know about you, Michael, but I've stayed with a few people through low self-esteem.
Like I said, the self-esteem comes in, and like I said, it becomes your new normal. And you almost, like she was saying, you almost come chemically codependent, because what I'm saying, because your brain chemistry gets wired a certain way, and their brain chemistry gets wired a certain way. And when you're apart, it feels like something's missing, because that becomes your new normal. And it's really sad. And a lot of people are so close to the situation, that they cannot step back. Joel Santa couldn't see the, all the trees for looking at the forest. And it's really sad when you get into that, and the light, and what's worse than being with nobody is being stuck in the same domicile with somebody you can't stand.
Yeah.
And I said, I was outside years ago, and and it was a bad relationship. There wasn't no romance to it, but it was just a bad relationship, And I'm outside, I'm busting wood, I'm working outside back before the back went bad. And this old guy come up, he's like, Jesus Christ, it's cold outside. I said, yeah, but it's better to be outside busting wood than in a warm house with a nagging woman. He's like, you're wise way beyond your years. And but she didn't want me, she didn't want nobody else to have me. And if I was with somebody else, she was going to make my life miserable because she needed that chemical dopamine of, I don't know, control. Just, I don't know. I guess she figured if somebody's going to torture me, it's going to be her. Nobody else wasn't allowed to. And it's crazy that the rabbit holes that we can get ourselves into in life, in relationships. Oh, if I just wait it out, they'll change. Oh, if I just wait it out, they'll do better. They'll quit drinking. I can talk them out of doing drugs. And you sit back and you look at it, and it's like, these
how
people
many years does that go on before you go, oh, actually?
And you're sitting back and you're watching this in real time, and it's like, and there's one here. Every time he shows up with her, and he's in the National Guard, and I'm really partial to my soldiers. You know what I'm saying? And I still try to mentor them and guide them. I'm like, there is not a situation where I see this ending well for you. But but he's, I won't say it, he's stupid. He's like, oh, but you don't understand. But like the conversation we had the other day. After the show, people don't know, but
love is blind as well.
It is. And we
stupid, right?
That's it. We had
make you very stupid, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's like the other day after the show, we had somebody pop in and we had a talk. I'm not going to say who it was, and he was defending the person that's treating him like garbage, and he's like, "Oh, y'all have missed her good qualities," and I told him point blank, even the devil was an angel at one time, and I guess it finally got through, but it was. And Wendy told me, she's like, I've never seen you so on top of it and so driven about one subject. And I was like, you just got to make me mad and get me motivated. And I think
what you're saying, Michael, is that people have an attachment to people.
They
have an attachment. Yeah. We all have these little threads into people. And maybe we have to look at our love, how we love, and our past attachments, like from our parents upward, because our parents are the people that show us, they're the people that give us the guidelines about what kind of relationships we should have. They are a mirror. So we grow up watching our parents and people around us, and plus obviously in our day, going back a few decades, it was TV and movies, and now it's the whole internet and everything like that. And you see all these perfect relationships on social media, which are all rubbish most of the time. But the thing is, we look at the attachment where we've come from. We look at our parents, and if we're raised by an inconsistent caregiver, or someone, our emotional needs were not met during a crucial stage of our development, we're most likely drawn to a partner who has similar qualities. So I wanted to never date my father, not because I didn't love my dad, but he was a terrible husband and a terrible father. And I don't mean that horribly to him, because I love you, Dad, but he obviously just didn't have the skills. He'd grown up from his own situation with his own demons. And I never wanted to marry or live with my dad. And oh yeah, did I meet my dad more than once? Did I not date him more than once? And it was like, why did I do that? Well, because it felt familiar, because it felt like that's what it should be like, Sparky, that's what it should be about. So some people, if you learn early on to associate love with a high conflict, on, off, up and down, being volatile or inconsistent, which my dad always was as a child. I would wait for him to turn up. I'm going to be there. Dad's on his way. He would just let me down. And then I just stopped asking in the end. There's a part of you subconsciously that holds on to the hope that maybe this time this will be different.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, completely. I had a similar kind of thing when I was growing up. My mum and dad, well, my mum and my stepdad are still together. But I love my mum dearly. But it still feels like quite a dysfunctional relationship.
Yeah.
It was even worse when I was a teenager. It was even worse. Because my dad and I would butt heads quite a lot. So a lot of it, if I look back on it, I have a similar thing where I go, I am never getting in a relationship with a man like my stepdad, because I don't want to put myself in that situation. So you kind of have a couple of sides of it. So you either end up, from observations, you either end up in a relationship with someone who is very similar to someone within your family, or you do completely the opposite and you are like me and have been single for probably about 10 years at this point, because I can't find anyone who doesn't necessarily make me go, oh, hang on a minute, I don't know how I feel about this. Because everyone's got a little bit of something where you go, hang on, that seems familiar to me. So it's also trying to remove that as well, so you can meet someone else who is theoretically different, but they might have similar qualities. But you're always going to find someone with similar qualities, always.
Michael, did you find that, because obviously I know you were very close to your mum, but did you find that you picked women that were similar to your mum, or not like her at all?
Oh God, no. My mom, and I think I've told this story before. I'd come in and we went to a county fair and there was a band there, and one of their hit songs was "Trashy Women," and my mom despised every woman that I was ever with. And I remember they said, "Oh, this," she went up and talked to the band, and she's like, "I need you to dedicate a song to my son. He's just got back." And I remember I hear the guy came out and he's like, "Oh, here's such and such has got back from here or whatever, and his mother wants us to play a song for him." And I thought, "Oh God, just let me crawl in a hole. Just let me crawl in a hole." You're called out in front of 5,000 people, and it says "Trashy Women." I thought, my mom hates me. But she thought it was funny. She was going to make the point, pick better women in your life. I wish I could have found a woman like my mom. But I just think, my mom wasn't the Ozzie Harriet type. She wasn't Lucy or Ricky, but she was strong. She was a little small woman. She was a force of nature. She was hardworking, and she very, very maternal. And
why did you think you went for a different woman than your mom?
Because I know if I got a woman like my mom, they'd probably beat me to death. And then it was just that total, what I'm saying? My mom, she had, I don't know what she put in my hair, but there's some fly here that's buzzing around me. They really liked the gel that Diane put in my hair. And, but I don't know. It's just like I wanted to rebel, and it's like, and when I rebelled really, really well. But I don't treat women like, I saw my dad treat my mom, and I'll never do that. And I won't let anybody else do that around me. That is a hard line in the sand for me.
Yeah, I agree, because I remember seeing my dad treat my mom a certain way, and I think that as kids we're sponges and we absorb information. Now, if you're lucky and your parents have a good relationship, you can still turn up and have problems. But the thing is,
and I don't know why he would be mean to your mom. Miss Sheila is such a sweet lady. Me and Sparky, I talked to her last night. She even said, said she, she's a riot, and it's like
she's a pistol. And people who have an anxious attachment style, and if you don't know your attachment style, you can actually look out there for links and find it. But you're more susceptible of having a difficult time letting go of an unhealthy relationship. And I think very much I was an anxious attachment style. I think when I was younger, I was really anxious. And I think it grew up with the fact that my father had left us. And I would have these expectations that, you know, when I met these people, they were going to be the happy ever after. They were going to be, they were going to film, you know, and then it took me to get into my mid to late 40s when I just thought it's not like that. And it's almost suddenly just someone switched the light on and I saw it completely different. And now I don't have that anxious attachment. I just go, well, if they don't want me, that's fine, bye-bye. Or as much as it hurts, or I'll move on, you know. But I think it took me a long time of crying, having like, you know, the worst relationship for me was being in an emotionally abusive one for 4.5 years. What the hell was I thinking? Like I said right at the start, what the hell was I thinking? I mean, he wasn't that attractive. He wasn't that good looking. Yeah, he was funny at times, but he was an absolute swine. And he was horrible. But I thought I deserved that, and I can change him, and it will be amazing, and we'll live happy ever after, and I'll be the one that changes him. And it was the worst for 4.5 years, but it really, really changed me into the woman I am. And Sparky, you know, coming from an abusive relationship, and Michael, what is it about? And now we look for it. Now you do look for those signs in any new relationship of the abuser, or at least the tactics. And Michael says, you know, he saw what his parents went through, and he went through a completely different woman. Maybe he felt, Michael, and I'm just putting this out to you, did you feel that you were like your mum, you know, bless her heart, as we say, you know, in the best will in the world? Do you think that you were like, I am never going to date someone like my mum because my mum took too much? She took too much.
You know, like I said, you know, and I saw that for a long time. And I seen Steve sit here and said, for breaking the chain. And what I'll say to that is, you know, for evil to triumph, it takes good men to do nothing. And you know, sometimes you got to be the change in this world that you want to be. And the things I saw growing up, the things I saw out in the world, I'm pretty well traveled. I know I don't sound very cultured sometimes because my Appalachian accent clones it pretty well. And when I'm focused, I'm on point. And when the other stuff comes in, you know, it's like, there goes Michael, you know, flighty. But no, you know, and that's what I tell men. Be the change you want. Be a positive outlook. Because I see my poor little mom, she tuck it and tuck it and tuck it. And I've told the story. One day she broke. And I told the story, you know, he come in, you know, loud, busterous, just, you know, ready to, you know, fight. Then he want love, you know what I'm saying, romance. And, you know, he comes through the door. There's a big cast iron skillet. It rung out like a church bell. And that's the day the power swapped in my house growing up. I got up that Sunday morning, 11 o'clock. He's laying in the floor, big old pump knot on his head. Looked like a damn unicorn. And I said, Mom, you know, she's like, Michael, go play. Your breakfast will be done in a minute. And I wasn't going to tell her no. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, holy shit, she just laid him out. He's 6'4", 200 some pounds. So I went outside and I said, Mom, what are we going to do if he wakes up and he starts his shit again? She's like, he'll lay back down. And she got like I said, I seen him physically, you know, mentally break my mom. And somebody had got her, you know, you want to talk about old school Sparky. Men and women, you know, we had dial telephones, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if they had them in the UK, but we had them here. Somebody had got her a VH copy of the movie The Burning Bed. And when Earl would start his shit, she would go over, get out her copy of The Burning Bed, and she'd slide that motherfucker right in the VCR. And I tell you what, I can watch that movie today and it gives me chills. But you know what? Sooner or later, you know, women had enough. He come in drunk, he beat her up, he raped her. And next thing you know, when he passed out, she tied him to the bed, took the oil lamps, threw them on the floor, loaded the kids in the station wagon, and hauled ass. That is the whole plot of the movie by running them bad for you. But that woman had finally had enough. And, you know, and the guy had broke her. And I'm like, huh. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's not that I didn't, you know, my mom, you know, she was really great. And like I said, I guess I just was looking something different because my mom pretty conservative or whatever. And I was always wanting something a little more free-spirited, a little more wild, a little more adventurous. And here's my poor mom, always just steady all the time. You know, you could count on what she's going to get. And I wanted something a little more adventurous. Be careful what you ask for, because you just might
Right.
find it.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I think I didn't want my dad. I certainly
No.
didn't want my dad in any shape or form, and I found, like, you know, there's a saying, isn't it? Women love bad boys, and guys love bad girls. I don't know if that's really true, but I think what
I
happens
don't
is,
know if you've ever told anybody what your dad did for a profession before he retired.
well, he had a couple. He had a couple of professions, but I think he was very. My dad was very flawed from his background, and I think he didn't have the skills, and he had a mother who had kind of, back then, the man's allowed to do this, that, and the other, and it's a very different way of seeing. I also think when you're coming out point two of why we stay in a relationship, if you've invested a lot of time and energy into a relationship and you go, oh my God, I can't do that again. I cannot go through getting a new home, moving out, starting a new relationship again. And they're hesitant to quit, even when they know the bell's been rung and the flag is flying, because they've spent so much time and energy on it.
It feels like a loss.
It is. And it's almost like, but, you know, at the end of the day, there's also, when you end something, there's also the great beginning that's waiting to happen for you. And I think sometimes we are so fixated on what was, or what could be, potentially what could be, we actually don't want to see what's right in front of us. It's like, I know it's there, but I think we're this amazing couple, Sparky. We're still going to get there. We still got all this thing, and we put these photographs up and we put these videos out, and we you know, and it's like, or we still want to be friends with them. This is the other thing I want to say, Sparky, and you pick me up on this point. You split up from someone, and sometimes we're lucky and it's very civil, and we both know it's broken down, and we're both just going to stay friends, and it's civil. And then you've got the one person who's always hoping that to get back with you, who's always hoping it can be fixed, and they're friends with you in the background, but you know secretly what they're waiting for. They want you to get back. And it's like, how do you say to you know, wake up and smell the coffee? Because at the end of the day, that person's already moving on down the road, and because we all move on at different times, I'm aware of that. But you're in this relationship, and all of a sudden, you know, the person's rung the bell. You've got to get on with your life. And then the thing is, it's like, but I've given everything I've got. I don't think I can do it again. I don't think I can give it. And I understand that, because I think the older you get, and the more relationships you've had under your belt, I think that's why a lot of us stay single, not because we want to, but it's the horrible feeling of here we go again. Where do you feel like in your life that you sort of were like, I can't, because you are a little bit younger than Michael and I, but where I can't, I don't want to split up, I don't want to be owned. Did you have these kind of feelings in that relationship that you had?
So mine was that a horrible relationship. That's kind of been my main relationship as such. I had a few relationships before that, but none as intense as that specific one. And I remember thinking the whole time that that's what I wanted. This is what I want. I can't think about having to be with anyone else. I can't think about this person not being with me. And I didn't realize at the time, but looking back, I can see it, of those were actually planted in my head by him, of you would be lost without me, you wouldn't know what to do with yourself, and that's where the abuse came in, really. But since then, I don't know, the idea of this is going to sound ridiculous, but the idea of a relationship terrifies me, because I think I will put in time and effort and potentially money and invest into a relationship with someone. If it doesn't work, then I've wasted time that I could have had with someone else. But at the same time, at the moment, obviously I'm just cruising through life happy as Larry and single. So am I already wasting time? But then it's the question of, do I want to invest time into something that I potentially won't actually get anything out of? And it's a very interesting situation to be in, because obviously for me, I have my family going, oh, so when are you going to get married? When are you going to settle down? Have you met anyone yet? How's this going? We've already established the fact that I'm never having kids because like dogs and cats. That's me. Not kids. So at least they've backed off about that one. But as I rightly said to them at one point, you know that there needs to be two people in order for there to be a child involved in any way, and I don't see a second person around at all.
No, you can go. They make places that you can order what you want.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No, I appreciate it. Appreciate the offer, but no.
There is that pressure, though, isn't there? As certainly as a woman, to are you going to have children? When you're going to settle down? You know, when you're going to have kids? And certainly from my generation X, but we're going back there. It was like you left school, you became a secretary, you did something else that was suitable for you, and it was like you're going to marry, you're going to have kids. 3.5 and a Labrador and everything like that. That didn't work out for me. I had troubles having children. And so my point was, what is the point of me as a woman if I can't have children? Yes, obviously I had the cats and dogs. You make an interesting point where you said, am I wasting time? You know, like just all this time being on my own. And I don't think any of it is a waste of time, because what is meant for you, they say, will not pass you by, and it's all part of the journey. And obviously Steve asks, you know, do you have any siblings?
Yeah, so I do. I've got an older brother who's 7 years older than me, and I have a younger brother who is 7 years younger than me. So I always tell the joke of when my little brother had his 8th birthday, I had a party. But yeah. But none of us have kids. My older brother doesn't have kids. My younger brother doesn't yet have kids. I know that he wants kids, but that's not been on the cards as of yet. But he's only 23, so.
So you don't feel the biological clock ticking within?
Sometimes I go, maybe I should have a kid. Maybe I should. But then I go to the supermarket and there's a child screaming in the aisle next to me, and I just go, you know what?
Or you take a long international flight and you know, Satan's spawn is like 3 rows back and you're praying for death.
Don't get me wrong, my child would be well behaved. End of. Like there is no way if I had a child that the child would be misbehaving, because I wouldn't allow it.
And it goes back. I see some people's pets are more well behaved than people's children.
Do you know, that's the thing about when you're on a plane. If you have a pet on a plane, they're far more well behaved than children. They're not kicking the back of your seat and screaming. I think sometimes, though, we hold on to a partner's potential rather than the actual person that's in front of us.
Yes.
We think that the person we're with, they're going to change if we can sit down and talk about it, if we can go through everything. You know, it's like, it's almost like breadcrumbs. If someone gives us some breadcrumbs, we hold on to that relationship, you know. And I've been there. I've been breadcrumbed, and it's like, I absolutely, now I know, it's just like whatever.
I got a question with that.
I think it's really helpful to look at another one, which is quite important. Why do we attach sometimes our worth to our relationship? Why do we think that if we're in a relationship, or we're married, or we're engaged, or whatever, living with someone, why do we feel that our worth is attached to that relationship? Because, you know, this constant feeling of like, and also, without them, I'm nothing. What happens when they leave me? Who's going to want me? You know, like, I've been with this person so long. They love me. I love them so much. They love me so much. What am I without them? They're so good looking. They're going to go off and get someone amazing, and I'm going to be stuck at home. Actually, more often than not, they actually go off and date someone who's not actually anything that you really need to write home about. And you actually go, yeah, left them for me. You left that me. Do you think that's possible, Michael, that more and more people are feeling their worth by a relationship, being in a relationship?
Oh yeah, especially if you're punching above your weight. That's a saying that I've picked up. It's like I'm pretty internationally lingoed. And they do. They're like, oh, well, I'm with this. Then on the other hand, you have the people that are trapped and they become. That's what I was going to ask you when I said I got a question. When you said, you see the potential. So you're basically in love with the illusion of what these people could be. And I tell people a lot of time I blame Disney for a lot of this stuff. And everybody's like, what do you mean? Every little girl was a princess. I'm not saying, yeah, fairy tale. And Wendy's heard me tell my kids, fantasy versus reality. Don't bring me some bullshit. Give it to me in straightforward, facts. And then he's like, oh, every little girl's a princess. You want to live in a big castle. He's going to take care of you. And it's like, and it skews the reality of what relationships are. And, and you can turn a good relationship into a bad romance really easy, but not putting in the work. Work is communication, equal parts. And everybody's like 50-50. No, honey, sometimes it's 90-10. Sometimes it's 100-0. If somebody is sick and down and you have to pick up and carry, you got to carry the load on your shoulders. And that shows you the true strength of a relationship. If the other partner is there to carry you through the bad times. And I have seen so many relationships. What is it? Sickness and health to death do us part, or till I get tired of you and move on. And I tell people that, and it can skew your perception of what you are worth. Talking about your self-worth. It's like, well, if I was worth more, they'd put more effort. This person ain't putting no effort, so the next person along is going to treat me the same way because my worth is so down. And it goes back to self-esteem. And that's like last night when I was talking about the sociopath and the psychopath. One is a chemical and one is taught. And a lot of times, people bring in social, them kind of characteristics because it was something they mirror as they grow up. Kids are sponges. They take it all in. So they are basically taught to be a sociopath and a narcissist in a relationship. And whoever has the unlikely adventure to get in a relationship with a male or female, and like I said, it goes both ways. I've seen it both ways. They're in for a treat, and you just hope that they can see it before it is too far out there and the damage is done. That, I said, not all scars are on the outside. Some people carry emotional scars on the inside that are a whole lot worse than the physical scars on the outside. And I'm like, and some of these things I see anymore, I'm like, holy shit, these people are fucking stupid.
Because out there, because we can be so mentally scarred by a relationship.
Yeah.
We are so damaged by a relationship. We're excuse my French, but we're fucked for anyone else. We're so damaged by this person who has crippled us emotionally, brought us down, maybe took our money from us, maybe being, because when you love someone, you're fair game. And the comments that, people can throw at you, we're so damaged. We're like, as I said, you give love a bad name. Yeah. Why the hell would I want to get into another relationship and be with someone when I've gone through this? And I know people that are damaged, so badly damaged. And you know also who, sorry, I just want to finish this. You don't know who you are outside of this relationship. You've been with this person for so long that you've lost your identity, you've lost your self-esteem, you've lost your confidence during the relationship because that person has chipped away at you, or they may have been unfaithful to you, and you may be so scared that they're going to do it again that you become a different person. Oh, I've got to lose weight, or I've got to be around them all the time, or I've got to be the most amazing, fascinating, sexy person. The thing is, someone's going to cheat on you, they're going to cheat. It doesn't matter what you do, how you look. If they're going to get it out for someone else, they're going to do it. And the thing is, what I can't stand is people that stay, and I've done it, so this is why I can't stand it. People that stay with someone and they have chipped away at their self-esteem. They have the person they fell in love with, that is a shell now, because what they've done is gone, Chip, you're this, you don't do that, You can't be doing this. And the other person's self-esteem is like that balloon, and it started to deflate. And they're hanging on to one tiny fragile thing that says, hang on a minute, you're worth more than this. And then the thing is, they go back for more. And then they go back for more. And then it's like, we're just friends. We're going to be friends. Why do you want to stay friends with this person? This person has ripped you apart. Well, because they got, and maybe there are good reasons. Maybe there are. But I also want to play devil's advocate. All of your friends with this person of the past or the former relationship, they could stop you getting into a new healthy relationship because they see you move on and they go, hang on a minute, I'm losing my grip here. Or maybe you divorce and you got kids with them. And the next thing you know, money's a bit tight, or they need you to have the kids, or, there are so many different reasons, Michael, why.
They find a way to inject yourself into your life.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I didn't mean to interrupt, but what I said, when you said that, it reminded me of a lady that I dated about 6 years ago. And everything I did, it was like, well, my ex did this, so you're going to do it. And I told her, I said, I am not fighting the invisible man. I'm not him. I am me. And he had screwed her up so bad. I'd went to work. And I remember that night I'd come in because, I had left the house that morning at 3:30 a.m. and drove to Ohio from Virginia, which is it's about like driving all the way across the UK. You know what I'm saying? It's like a 6-hour drive. I get up there, I work all day. It is hot. It is humid. I come back, and I called her, it wasn't like I was going to MIA. It wasn't like I was going off the map nowhere. It was not like I was hiding or whatever. So I told her, I said, look, I'm so tired. I'm going home. When I got here, a lady called and said, hey, do you have any availability? Can you go back out? And I was like, no, first thing in the morning, I'm really tired. She said, well, there's a cash bonus if you can be here in the next hour and 30 minutes. So being somebody that owns a business, you're like, oh, hell yeah, let's get it in. I'll be tired later. So I remember, and I even called and told her, look, this came up. This is good money. And I'm like, okay. So when I get there, oh, I thought you were so tired. You're going to be out cheating on me. And she lived like 2.5 hours away. So I'm thinking, I'm good, the whole thing about, you don't crap where you eat, right? So I come home. It's like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, pouring down the rain. Next thing I know, she's sitting in my front yard in a monsoon, lightning, storm, lightning, all this stuff. And I walk out and I'm like,
with the Psycho theme song playing.
Yeah, it's it. And and I roll out the way, old natural rail, because I'm thinking something's going on, Ain't no need to get dressed to get muddy in the yard. And I asked her, I said, she said, well, I wanted to talk. I said, well, God damn it, you're here. Let's talk. She said, but you're not decent to be outside. I said, you just drove 2.5 hours through a rainstorm, but yet I'm the crazy one. And she's like, well, you don't understand. I said, no, honey, I really don't understand. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but yet I'm fighting, the person that you're hung on to that has emotionally fucked you up. I said, I ain't done that, and I ain't going to do all this. And I'm like, holy shit. But that told me, even a decent person can be drove crazy by people for what they do in their past. And it makes them dangerous and unpredictable because they are so emotionally damaged and emotionally unpredictable that it's like, holy shit. And like I said, she was lovely, but
a lot of the time as well is you can be in that relationship, which is actually nice and solid and comfortable. But if you've been screwed up by someone in the past, you're just waiting for the bomb to go off.
Mm-hmm.
And you might even, without even realizing it, sabotage.
Oh, yeah. And it's like,
sabotage is huge. Hi, Eliza. The thing is, we can all see your comments, but I don't put them up so much now because it's a distraction. And so that's why literally we can all see them though. The thing is, self-sabotage is, I remember like so I'm going to tell a story, and it's a long time ago, but I was dating someone very much in love with him at the time. And I had a gut feeling, and women's gut feeling is normally never wrong, right? Listen to your gut feeling. It's never wrong. And I had a feeling that there was something that was something I didn't wear off, because you can tell by someone's energy. I mean, I can sniff energy a mile away, but you can tell by someone's energy and how they are with you. You just know. And I knew there was something wrong. And I remember we used to swap cars when we were dating. We used to swap cars. He'd take mine or whatever.
Oh, no.
And one day I was in his car and I see this bit of paper and I read it. And it's a note from this woman. And I'm thinking, straight away, I felt sick to my stomach. And she'd bought him a Snoopy air freshener. I haven't told this story in years. Snoopy air freshener. Snoopy sitting in the car. It was all the rage back in the sort of early 90s. Anyway, I was really hurt by this. And I realized that this was someone he'd known for a while. And also, it was also threatening, very, very threatening to my relationship. Anyway, one night I asked him, I said, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going here. And I knew she was going to be there. And I just had a gut feeling about it. So I never said anything. And then I went and bought myself an air freshener in the shape of a Snoopy and put it in my car, because I realized she had one and he had one because they bought each other one. So then I was going to get one anyway. So I could see he was a bit freaked out. And I remember him saying to me, we were talking about relationships, and he said, why would you want to, why would you not want to go out and have a different meal when you come home and you've just got beef burger at home? And I was like,
oh, what the?
Oh, hell no.
Are you actually saying that I'm a beef burger? This is going back many years. Anyway, cut a long story short.
I need a name and I need a location.
One night, I absolutely followed. I actually had a friend, and we followed them. And obviously, I did see things that I wish I hadn't seen. And I kept quiet about it for a long time because I was trying to come to terms with it about what I was going to do. And one day we were still together, but our relationship was coming to the end, it was, and I knew he was doing this in the background. We went to the cinema with his niece, and she was there with her fiance at the time. Now, I mean, come on, it was all planned, right? So her fiance was gorgeous. Why the hell she was playing around with what? Anyway, so halfway during the break,
so she was mental.
It was Jungle Book, the film. I remember that. She went to the toilet, so I thought, this is my moment. So I went to the toilet, and she come out, and I'm standing there, and you could tell that she wanted the ground to open up underneath her. And I said, hey, how are you doing? And she was like, hi. And I was like, oh, I can't even remember the conversation we have. But whatever it was, I must have shit her up so badly, because I remember opening the door for her, for her to go out. And I was in my, early 20s at this point. And she actually said to him, when she shut me up, because I actually thought she was going to drown me in the cubicle somewhere. And then I told him what I knew. I told him everything. I showed him all the evidence and everything. And he was just gutted because he knew. And I just said, you have it. If that's what you want, have it. But that was the first time. It wasn't the first time I was cheated on, but it was the first time that it got to me mentally, where I was willing to do things and act and behave differently, because it was like, what's wrong with me? Why are you cheating? Maybe I need to follow. And then what happens, like Michael says, you get into a new relationship and you're like, oh, I'm seeing similar behavior, or I'm getting that similar feeling again. And well, if and it destroys you. And what I say to people is, why do you do this? Why do you destroy another human being? What gives you the fucking right to destroy another human being? Especially, and I'm on a roll here, so Sparky, I'm going to come to you in a minute. If your partner is emotionally abusive, if you're with an emotionally abusive partner, you question your instincts because they get in your head and they start to twist things, and you're like, well, maybe I am doing it. Maybe it is me. Maybe I am saying it. And you doubt yourself. And a person who regularly gaslights and manipulates you and is not taking accountability and will often cause you to feel as if you're in the wrong. So you then start blaming yourself, going, well, had I done this, maybe if I said that. And the next thing you know, you're convinced you're the problem, not the relationship. And why is it? We put these people on a fucking pedestal, right? I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it. Why are we putting these fucking people on a pedestal? Because they were there with me. They're still there with me. Help. Excuse me? Like, they are there because they choose to be, because for whatever reason they're being there for. Wake up and smell the coffee. I love very few people in my life, but the people I do love, I'm very protective of. And when I see certain people being emotionally manipulated and abused for their own reasons, that riles me. Sparky, over to you.
I love how passionate you got about that, because I'm exactly the same.
You saw that last week.
My mouth very close with certain things.
It was great because you slammed your hands down on the table and I heard that come up through the floor. It was fantastic. That was great. But no, I completely agree with you. Completely, because I've seen it, I've experienced it, where you were in a relationship with someone and they've got to the point that they've wormed into your psyche and they are taking advantage of every single part of you that they can get hold of. And if they can take little bits out, bit by bit, then it's all about control. It's all about control. If they can control how you feel, then they have power and they feel good about themselves. It's literally, most of the time, it comes down to ego and
gender.
Yeah, agenda. Oh,
yeah. And potentially it could be that they feel bad about themselves, so they have to make someone else feel even worse. Because 9 times out of 10, the people who do this aren't actually all that great looking, or they have flaws, or everyone has flaws, but they have such specific flaws that are in their brain space continuously, so they have to make someone else feel worse, and they just have to cause pain to someone else in order to make themselves feel better.
Well, especially when you're bigging them up, right? Yeah. They're treating you like shit, and they're bigging
and you think the world of them.
Yeah, you build their self-esteem up, and they have an overinflated thing of their self-esteem, and your self-esteem is going in the toilet. And I had a thought, and I lost it, and I got it back when she slammed her hands on the table. I was like, that looked like me the other week.
It's not often I get riled up, but I tell you that the last couple of weeks with certain people, and there's more than one relationship.
She's got a list, people.
I have watched and listened, and and also it's like, why would you want to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't want you?
Yeah.
2, they're moving on, they're looking for someone else
already.
Already. And
already.
3 have like, well, they're still there for me for their own reasons, right? For their own.
Everybody has an agenda, good or bad. Everybody on this planet has an agenda, and I tell people that. And all agendas are not bad.
No.
But if you're in a relationship with a psychopath, sociopath, narcissist, I can name them all. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Gaslighting, whatever. And that's like the conversation that we all had the other day. And, and like I said, my mom, I was close to my mom. Everybody's like, oh, you was a mama's boy. I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I was. My mom looked after me. Then when I got bigger, I looked after her. She grew her a bodyguard. It's like, but my mom told me one time I was with somebody, and she said, if you put that bitch on a much higher pedestal, she's going to die of a fucking nosebleed.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to kind of whatever, but I had built her up so much that there was, it was like, don't meet your heroes. And you're like, oh, I met this person and she was so lovely. Then when you hang out and spend time, you figure out there's no cure for what she's got. That's when he says, what it's like.
If you think that someone's really good looking and they're, oh my God, I'm going to lose them. And that someone else is going to have sex with them, and it's like, hang on a minute, slow the horses. What about you, right? Because why do you think you're so unattractive? Why do you feel like this? Because that person has knocked your self-esteem. And the other thing is, and I know someone else in this particular relationship, and I'm sorry as I say I'm on fire here, if you are a caring person and you have been conditioned to fix, save, or fight or care for someone at the expense of yourself. Maybe you took care of your parents. Maybe you're a caregiver. Maybe you don't know how else to be. You're a fixer. You have to fix the person. Oh, I can't leave them. They need me. They're ill. They're disabled. They're sick. They're whatever. They've got kids. Whatever. You will fight to save a relationship at the expense of yourself. And I think also, if you've adopted the role of peacemaker and caretaker, you may have witnessed your parents at each other's throats or needing help and needing support, and you actually get on the role of, I'll sort it out, I'll calm it down, I'm there for you.
Stand in the middle and you stop the fight from happening.
Yeah, and also it's also, as a result, you may have learned to associate love as in you having to earn it or fight for it. And I think that with a partner, it's a very different relationship to our parents. But as children, I mean, Freud always says, the first male we ever loved and fell in love with was our dad. The first female we ever fell in love with was our mum. And we kind of do base a lot of our relationships on our parents. And I certainly did. I can see my mum in me, but I also can see my dad in me, but in different ways. Like, I think my mum was very much a caregiver, and she gave and she gave and she gave, but I also think she would also take things that she shouldn't have done. And I think with my dad, he was grown up from a background, well, it's okay for me to do this because that's what a man does. And my mum says it's okay. But my cat's just going crazy here, so excuse me that. Sparky, take it over for me.
Yeah, you got it. I had something very similar where I had with my folks. There were a lot of arguments that happened all the time. I would end up being the person in the middle who would be trying to stop the fights from happening. And it's a very similar thing in regards to I am. Just from me, myself, I am a caring person. I am protective. I will make sure that those around me are having the best possible time that they can. I will do anything I possibly can for certain people to make sure that their life is as good as it possibly can be. Because I will look at someone's situation. I will look at the relationship that I have with them. I will look at as to how I feel when I'm around them. And I will make sure that that my protective streak comes out. It comes out all the time, but more so recently. And it's one of those things where, because I have this, I've always been protected. I had to protect my mum, and that's a huge part of where it comes from. I had to protect my mum. Did I necessarily? No, probably not, because my mum has always said to me, I could protect myself. Yeah, but I didn't want you to have to, because I didn't want you to get hurt. If I got in the middle, I'm younger, and technically at that point, I shouldn't get hit. I shouldn't get hurt. Adult versus adult, fists can fly. But when you're a teenager, a child, if you get in the middle and you're saying, no, please stop, I don't like this, please stop, then it tends to calm the situation down a lot quicker. So I learned to end up getting in the middle of conflict quite a lot. I still do it now. If there is a conflict going on, I end up in the middle of the conflict. I shouldn't. I absolutely shouldn't. But I can't help but do that, because it is inbuilt in me now to protect people who need protecting. Always.
Me and Wendy had this conversation a long time ago. I know she's busting with Vampire, and but she told me, Huckleberry. But she told me, she said, it's almost like you're a self-appointed savior of the world. You think nobody else can do it like you, so therefore you have to fall on your sword and protect everybody that you are around. And a lot of times, when you see people in a shitty relationship or whatever, and you want to intervene, and a lot of times anymore, I have to tell myself, unless it physically comes to my door, I need to let it go, because it's not, what I'm saying? they're just going to get mad at you. Then you're going to be the problem. When in the whole time the relationship is the problem, but they cannot see the relationship's a problem. So it's somebody else's fault that things are went to shit. So I don't know.
But if I'm the problem, then someone else is protected from being that problem.
Yep, that's it. I tell them, I say, I'm not part of the solution. I'm a whole ass problem. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of been my MO, my whole deal. And it's fun. And it's fun being the problem. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
And like I said, I seen a shirt that day that said whole ass problem. And I thought, yep, I need that shirt.
But I think, as quite rightly, you're aware of it. You're aware of the fact that you have this caregiver inside
I'm
you.
harnessing it now. Rather than it's taking over, I'm harnessing it.
Yeah, as a caregiver. And I think that's hard. It's just him. The other thing is, is Huckleberry. When you're in a relationship and you confuse sexual chemistry for compatibility, you have great sex. The sex is so passionate and it's like, oh, it's wicked. I remember when I was in a particular relationship, probably the last one that I was actually, the last man I was probably in love with. We were together for about 4.5 years. And it was very, very toxic, but my God, it was passionate. It was passionate with a capital P. And it was like, never mind about the relationship falling apart. It was great sex. And it was like, that was one part of our relationship that was wonderful. That was amazing. We got on. There was no problems. And I think it used to draw us back. It was like this attraction, this Velcro. And you really, really wanted it. And I remember thinking, I'm never going to find anyone as good as that. I'm never going to have the great sex like I'm having there. And, we were both ourselves in that moment having sex, in that sexual moment. And Michael and yourself probably understand there are some people you meet and you have that sexual chemistry and you're on fire. And it's like,
I wouldn't know anything about sex.
And we mistake that for compatibility. And we can overlook the red flags. And so what happens is that what happens when we still want that fix, because having that passion gives us a fix. It gives us a high. It's like a drug. We've got to go back for more. It's like, I want that high. We split up with, you split up with them. And the next thing you know, you're on the phone going, hi, how are you?
The 2 o'clock, the 2 o'clock in the morning booty call.
Yeah, and then you're so good with you, and then you're back in the circus yet again. And I know someone very similar right now going through that, and it's like, we're just going to be friends, or friends with benefits.
Yeah.
Really. So at the end of the day, we've all been there and done it, and it is a fantasy. And also, this is a very good point. Now, there are 2 points I'm bringing up to end this. One is you're hooked to the highs and lows. You absolutely love it, because 1 minute it's like, whoa, and the next minute you're down on the depths of despairs. Oh my God, I can't believe it. You're telling everyone who will listen, but she doesn't cuddle me. There is no sex between us. He doesn't want me anymore. He's looking at other people. And it's like up and down. Next minute you're back together. Oh yeah, the status has gone single to in a relationship to engaged to married. And you're like,
it's complicated.
Yeah. And the other thing is, at the end of the day, you're up and down, the partner's running hot and cold, and you don't know when the next high is going to come down, and you're jumping
exhausting.
Yeah, it is exhausting. And you're jumping on, what's the word I want to use? When you're jumping, what's the word?
I don't know, but I get emotional whiplash by watching some of these people's relationship status. And it's like, oh, so we're on. No, we're on. And it's like, and it's like watching a soap opera. It's like, oh man, are they going to get back together? Oh no.
Because they're going to. They're going to get back together.
Like, oh, they can't come back from this. He got caught doing the neighbor's wife and kicked the dog. The next thing you know, oh, we're on vacation. We're having the best of time. Look at my, plate of whatever.
We're going to go on holiday together. We're not in a relationship, but we've booked this holiday, so we thought we might as well take.
He was pre-planned and pre-booked.
That knows them is like this. And the thing is, because you're doing that up and down so much, you get used to it. So when you do split up, you think, oh, it won't be for long. We'll be back together. I did that for 4.5 years. And people used to take a bet. People used to take a bet when we were going to get back together. Oh, you'll be back together in 3 weeks. You'll be back together. And then you'll be split up again in 6 weeks. We really, really are like that. The last one is, 11, you believe that relationships are tough going and it's just a rough patch. You can get through it. You can talk about it. You can sit down. You can work through it. And sometimes you can. And sometimes you can't. And a relationship shouldn't require you to sacrifice your values or your sense of self-worth. Your relationship should be stable and secure. Force in your life. It should encourage you. It should to be the best that you can be, rather than disconnection and distress. I look back and look at my relationships and think, out of all the ones I've had, I can count 3 of them. Probably the most. Can you hear him? Like he's I've got to go and let him in. 1 second.
Me and Sparky's got you covered.
I can hear him both through the phone and
downstairs.
The door, which is quite funny.
For all people who don't know, that is what happens when you own a bass hole.
Actually, no, it's the cat.
Oh, the cat. Well, cats are just assholes. You know what I'm saying? But anyway.
They are fighting, and one knows not to fight with the other. So I think what we're trying to say is, when you put your life on social media, and I know a lot of people have, and we do notice when you quietly change your relationship status, people see it. We are aware of the drama, and I don't like seeing people I love and care about played with, manipulated, and put this politely, used for their own benefits. And I've done it, been there, ticked it off. I never want to see it, but maybe this is their journey they have to go through. Maybe they have to go through this journey.
Great, wasn't it?
Because life is hard work, and it is difficult. For me, I'm not averse to being in a relationship. I'm really, really not. It hasn't put me off a relationship. Right. What I don't want to do, I don't want to meet someone unless they want to do this. They want to commit themselves to it. Because I don't know about you, Sparky, but I want to be in a relationship that the other person puts in just as much effort as me. You know, you get with someone, you're with them 2 or 3 months. It's always around the 3-month mark, something like that. They always say it's around the 3 month. Well, I've got demons. There's things coming up from my past, or it's not what I thought it was, or I have to work on myself. Fuck me if I heard that so many times.
Honestly,
in my life. I've got to work on myself. Here's a tip. Go fucking work on yourself first, and then go and find a relationship. Because don't look for a relationship and then go, oh, I need to work on myself, because you've now fucked with another person. That really
wasted time.
100%. What is it? Around the 3-month mark, you know what they say? It takes 3 months to know if you really like someone, or you're scared, because then the relationship's going to go to the next level after 3 months. You know, and it's like, oh no, it's a bit scary. So what I'll do is I'll back off. And I'm supportive and sympathetic. But if I hear the words of, not sure it's what I need to do, I might need to work on myself, I'm not over my last relationship, or I need to find myself. What's the other ones you can think of? Come on, Sparky, there's loads of them. It's not you, it's me. You've done nothing wrong, but it's just me. I have to go and find myself. Here's a tip. As I said, don't fucking look for someone, pardon my French, until you are ready to be with someone. Because
that's the key thing as well, when they go, oh, I don't think I'm ready for this. What the hell has the last 3 months been then? Is there anything?
Well, actually just trying it out, was it?
Oh, I was.
Before you buy.
Yeah, I was seeing if this was right for me. I was wanting to see if what I thought was correct. If
This
what I
this relationship has brought things out of me that I didn't realize still hadn't been sorted or fair enough. Absolutely. And that can happen to anyone. But at our age, and I'm talking Michael and Myers especially, been there, done it, ticked it off. We've probably been married and had kids underneath our belt. If you don't know what you want in your 40s and 50s, I'm not being funny, then you did not learn a lot of lessons in your 20s and 30s. Because, you know, Michael, I was just saying here, like Spark and I were just going over this whole thing. You get with someone, it's always around the 3 months mark where they go, I just don't. I had someone, like, we were getting on so well. We were dating for 3 months, never had an argument, never had a disagreement. And it's like, send me a text message, see you later, go for a drink, mwah, you know, the emoji and all that lot. Next thing you know, we've turned up for a drink and it's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's not me. Or it's not it's not you. It's not you, it's me. I see us going in different directions. I do not want to drag you down this road.
Yeah,
Happy
and
trails.
comes
Happy
up,
journey.
folks think they are ready, and then it turns out they aren't. Not being funny, you need to be ready for a relationship. I am sorry, but get your shit together. Don't.
if you put yourself at a point of getting into a relationship, then you should be comfortable and ready to be in a relationship. If you are not, don't even start going down that route.
You know,
put a feeler out.
I see some people, even our age, and I ain't going to put mine or Wendy's age out, but anybody that knows us knows how, you know, we got, you know, a few years behind us.
We were in the 80s, baby.
You know, but she don't look at, you know, I used like fucking milk, you know, here's Wendy, you know, and it's like the other day, I don't see her on here. Dave will know who I'm talking about. And I told her, I said, this little girl said, she is always a 10 on camera. She said, I need to call her up and see what her secrets are. I was like, well, you know, I don't, but, you know, she'll probably help you out because she wants help handling Uncle Terry. And she's like, oh, Wendy is just so bad. You know, she's a boss in her domain. I said, well, honey, that comes with age and wisdom. I said, then you just hope you're still young enough to enjoy the wisdom you got from all the age that you put behind you. And, you know, and like I said, you do, you know, but some people never emotionally mature. They don't. They can be 108 years old.
It's because of that. And it annoys me when people say, I thought I was ready for a relationship, but I wasn't.
I thought, yeah.
That is offensive to somebody else in some ways, because what you've done is gone, I really like you. Let's just see where it goes. This is another one. I'm sorry, I got to say it. Yeah. Let's just see where it goes. Let's just go with the flows. I'm not a fucking sat nav, right?
No.
I'm not a fucking sat nav. So I'm not being funny, but let's just see. Normally I'm very good in the background. I put everyone else's point up and I see it. I'm pissed off with a lot of things lately. And one of it is how people treat other people, especially those that I love. You're not a fucking sat nav. If you're going to like someone, date them and go, do you know what? I really like you. Let's just do this, right? Whatever, which way it goes, let's just do it, right?
Don't be chicken shit. Jump in the pool. You know what I'm saying?
Put your foot in, not this. I'm just testing the water.
Testing the water, yeah. You know, don't like my mom said, don't be a bitch. Go all in. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to do it, don't half-ass do a fucking thing. Don't. Be a man. Man up. Take it on the fucking chin.
Comment. It's not working on me. I'm going to bring this up by the lovely Jason. That's not working on me. Because at the end of the day, that is a cop out.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Oh, yeah. I don't know where JP's hiding out with the Volkswagen, but you know what?
True, but you got to work on yourself, and it's like when someone brings something out on you, you've got to deal with that without actually affecting the relationship and go, listen, that might have triggered me, that might have brought up something, but that's, you know, I'm dealing with that. It's not going to change the way anything is between us. But it's like, oh, I better run away. What it actually means at that point, they haven't dealt with it. Jason says, if they're honest enough and respect you enough to tell you that they realize they aren't ready, they don't deserve
you, maybe, or it.
I don't know.
All
No,
right,
it's
no.
not. I know it's not. And I will die in a pile if I spent brass on that. Excuse me. I'm completely.
Let me interpret. Let me interpret it. That's a hill that he's willing to die on. You know, they always said, I told him, they said, Michael, you don't run as fast as you used to. You're not going to be knocking indoors. I said, no, but if I find something that I'm willing to like die on a pile of hot brass for, that means that I'm entrenched on it. And you know what I'm saying? And I get that. But earlier when I was waiting to get my hair cut, there was a pop-up car show with a police escort. And I was over taking pictures for Wendy because, you know, she has the Impala. Honey, can you tell JP how many Volkswagens they was with all of the old Impalas and Camaros and Corvettes and like trucks? I'm just saying, I didn't see no Volkswagens. There was a lot of cool looking Impalas, though, wasn't they? And I'm like, yeah. Sparky seen it, 0. There was goose egg on that, but no, it's.
But the thing is, I think we all come from similar sides and we understand each other. But I think if you're on a dating site or you meet someone and you start to date them,
if you're not ready for a relationship, what are you on the site for?
100%. If you have to know that you're ready for a relationship, you have to know that you're ready to give. You must know what tools you're bringing to the table, and you must feel ready for it. If you don't date.
All right.
Relationships should be whole people coming together and creating something greater, not two halves in order to try and fix the other person. That's not how that works.
Oh, Lord.
And that's if you come in from the same hymn sheet and you're singing from the same hymn sheet, your relationship is going to be very strong and have a great foundation, because it's all about foundation. If you don't have the friendship, the respect, that you can communicate, you're consistent, there's the chemistry and everything like that, because it's all very important. But I think so many people are half-hearted. I'm just going to give it a go. I'm just going to see where it goes. I did that. I've done that, been there, done it. It didn't bring it didn't bring anything to me at all. In fact, if anything, it was probably a waste of time. I would rather not look to date anyone. If I felt there was work on me that I needed to do, if I felt that there were things that it was bringing up in me, I just wouldn't date. I wouldn't look for someone. I wouldn't talk about having a relationship. I wouldn't be on a dating site. I wouldn't look for anything at all. I'd be like, no, I'm fine on my own. I don't need to be in a relationship with someone. I've got shit to work out. But at the end of the day, it's like, I know things can trigger us. I know things can trigger things in us. But that other person, like Michael had a trigger this weekend. He had a trigger, and he's got to deal with that. It's down for Michael to deal with that trigger and say, it isn't that situation. This is a completely different situation. Mm-hmm. And I have to deal with that trigger and say to myself, it isn't then, it is now. It's a very different situation. It's like, I'm using this as an example. When I got Huckleberry, I kept thinking, it's not Henry. It's not going to go down the same road. It's a different dog. It's same as a relationship. Yeah. It's not the last ex-boyfriend. It's not the last ex-girlfriend. It's a different relationship. You have to treat them that way. And I think when you come out of a long-term relationship, you think the grass is greener. In a lot of ways, you're excited. You want to go, oh, I want to see what's out there. I want to test the water. I want to put my new fresh underwear on. I want to get my hair dyed or cut, and I want to see what's going on out there. Let me tell you what's on out there. A lot of people are emotionally fucked up, inconsistent, emotionally unavailable, or they just want a good time. There's about 5% that actually do know what they want and really want to work on it.
I also find as well, like, I struggle with the idea of dating sites, because I like to know someone before I go down the route of potentially pursuing a relationship. So I find a lot of the time as well with dating sites and things like that, they're just there for a good time, not a long time.
No.
And that's not what I'm about. So I struggle when it comes to dating sites and things like that.
There's a thing that I always said. After putting herself out on a dating site, they're opening herself up for recreational use only, male or female. Yeah. And anymore. And I used to think that it was just the guys that was out chasing whatever. But anymore, I have women like these guys just won't basically, show up for like to be bagged and shagged and and roll out. They're like, no, I got things to do. I need to go home and I got Call of Duty with my buddy or I got these, I'm going fishing and it's like, and they're like, I'm throwing myself at this guy and he is totally uninterested. But what it is, he's probably been burnt in the past by somebody that, took the good nature and the time that he was willing to put out for granted and treated him like shit. So now these women are trying to find a good guy. Well, it could go either way. And somebody has emotionally fucked this poor man up so bad that he would rather go home, sit on his couch with his pet of choice, and play PlayStation or Xbox on a big TV. And I tell him, I said, I said, I'm like, what are you bringing to him? That whatever. I said, you got what 6 or 7 major holidays. It's going to cost him money. He's got to meet your parents, and not only does he have to like you, but he's also got to like your parents. I said, then if you get in tight with them, that's more money for like birthday present for mom, for mom, birthday present for dad. And if they got younger siblings, you got to buy them something. I said, the only thing that you're bringing to him is, emotional and financial debt. And they're like, but I'm well worth the catch. I said, you know what? I know what I bring to the table: caffeine, nicotine, and a shitty disposition towards life, because everything's a conspiracy to me anymore. I think something is out there to get me. And I'm like, no, but I have heard that more and more. And women tell me, Michael, I just cannot get him to come see me. I'm like, well, what have you offered this man? And a lot of these guys, they grew up with a mom. She cooked, she cleaned, she worked, she held down the house. And, and they're waiting for a woman like their mom, and they're not seeing it. Just because you take a picture of a cake and put it on Instagram don't make you Betty fucking Crocker. All right. And I told him, I said, these guys have emotionally checked out because they don't want the bad romance they see their buddies suffering through. I said, the quickest way to lose a buddy is let that motherfucker get a girlfriend. Because, you got to like her too. You know what I'm saying? So there went your hunting buddy, your fishing buddy, and the guy's going to help you work on your truck.
Well,
and he sees that and is like, no, not me, buddy. I'll go home and sit on the couch. No.
I think that's a really good point. And to bring it on, I have to bring on the lovely Jason, because he's behind the scenes, and I know he's going to have a very
JP.
good
JP bouncing on the walls. There's JP.
Bring him on, because whether the reception is strong enough, I don't know if it is. Would it be interesting?
Turn your light on, mate.
Oh yeah, I
can see him. I think it's frozen. I think he's frozen.
Stand on the foot, JP. Hold your arm out for better reception.
No, it's the reception's not great. He's going to have to come back on.
It's
frozen. The thing is,
from the Mother Road, so he's probably on Route 66 somewhere. So
a really, really good point, because at the end of the day, as you get older, more and more people say, I don't want a relationship. I don't want one. Been there, done it, ticked it off. Why the hell would I want another one again, right? Yeah. And there's other of us. I mean, I'm not adverse to having a relationship, but I want to make sure the person I have a relationship with actually knows what they want, is quite happy to be consistent, and work at it. I don't want to do any more let's go
and we'll pass my vetting.
Yeah, I'm like, and now, but this is what I was, speaking of bad romances, and somebody, when Sparky first came on, they said, she has a different point of view than me or Wendy or whatever. And I was going to ask her, and I have seen the first time I seen a same-sex couple fight at a restaurant. Fucking hilarious. And, because I'm thinking, oh, these people suffer just like the rest of us fuckers, and I've saw, like, same sex, like guy and girl, you know what I'm saying? And I thought that I could like bring some shit up from the past, but when you got to, and I want to say this, I'm probably gonna hate, and they always say, women got minds like elephants. They never forget. You can screw up 40 years ago. That shit's on a Rolodex back here. And when you see two women who are a little drunk on wine throwing each other's past up at them that they remember for like 9 or 10 years ago, and it's just like, I'm like, damn, I need another drink. You know, I'm eating all the beer nuts and the popcorn. I'm like, this is wild. And but I was going to ask you, have you ever saw or experienced that? Because like I said, from where I was sitting, it probably wasn't fun for them. And I'm kind of dark, but anyway, I'm thinking, okay, so everybody has shitty relationships. You know what I'm saying? And that's like my daughter married to two different women, couldn't get it right. They said, "What do you think?" I said, "Well, now she knows how the other half lives, and she can fight for half her shit, like I did when I got rid of her mom." You know, I was like, "Yeah, buddy, you want to say I do to you, I don't. Then you got to go pay a solicitor or a lawyer to fight for half your shit." And I'm like, "Yeah." Then you got spousal support, child support.
So what is it you want to know from Sparky?
I was going to ask her if she had ever experienced that, where it's like, because most times they think, like, either it's a really shitty man or a bad woman that brings bad romance. But on the other side of it, is it similar or different for like the pop? What was you say? I can't even remember.
Everyone is their own person, so more than likely you will end up with a relationship that anyone can act that way at all.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the classic kind of, as soon as you're in a same-sex female relationship, then you get married about 3 months down the line. That's the running gag.
Yeah.
I know a couple who have been together for probably about 15 to 18 years now, and it's the same thing. They have their ups and downs, but you sit with them and you have a drink with them, and some of the crap they come out with is absolutely hilarious, because you think, wait, now hang on, what do you mean this happened, and this, that, and the other? So it's still the same thing. You can have a relationship where it's perfect and it's fantastic. You can have a relationship where there's continuous infighting. It doesn't matter on the sex of the couple at all. It really doesn't, because everyone is a brain in a body box. That's it.
Meat sleep. Yeah, meat sleep. Yeah, that's what we used to call it. Yeah.
It really doesn't. I mean, people are people, aren't they? Whether
but I was going to say, and a lot of times, and people ask me that, and like I said, somebody said Michael the Rolodex. Oh yeah, when you've been married 4 times, you learn real quick that all women.
So technically, you haven't been married.
Yeah. Oh, the gift of bigotry, and government employees too sorry to do their job. Yes. For one time, government inefficiency actually come back to help me.
So actually, you haven't been married 4 times, which is a good thing.
Yeah, but anyway, well, I thought until I went to get my passport, and the woman was like, "Oh, here is the issue," and I was like, "What?" Wendy was on the phone with me, I was losing my mind because I thought I was in trouble.
No, it's not. No rapid. It's not 4 times.
And it was like, because it was the first one, then the second one. But the second one was already married that she didn't tell me about. So that made 3 and 4 invalid because I was not eligible to be married. And the woman was like, "Oh, you're married, but you're not married." I said, "Is that like almost getting hit by a car? Or is that getting hit by a car?" And it took them about 6 to 8 months to sort it out. Because, when you start dealing with the government, he gets really, really. So I asked him, I said, "What does this mean for this and that?" "Oh, like it never happened." "Oh, just forget about that. Them don't count." And I'm thinking, well, if I'd have got spousal support, that would have damn sure counted. If I'd had child support with these, that would have damn sure counted. And they throw you in a really, really gray legal loophole and that's what I was saying. And I was thinking about that. She's talking about the couple that had been together for my ex-wife grew up or whatever. There was an older couple of ladies that lived together, and you called them both "ain't this," and those part of the community, and you could see them, they'd bicker back and forth. And I thought they was sisters for a long time, but I later found out that they was, you know what I'm saying? But when me and Wendy grew up, it was more kind of, I'm not going to say looked down upon, but it was more pushed to the side. And it was like, "Oh, that's Aunt Frida," or whatever. That's not her name. I can't remember her name, but they was really, really lovely ladies. They drank their wine, in this back little country thing, and they had art on the wall that's very eccentric. So, so sooner or later,
the best part about that is their relationship
Yeah.
was none of anybody else's business.
No, it wasn't. But like I said, and I never thought anything bad about him. And later when I found that, I thought, when you're young, you're dumb, and you don't have the knowledge to like see. You're kind of blind to what's really going on in the world. And when you get older and you start seeing things and you travel and your eyes are open more and more, and you're like, oh, I get it now. And but me, I still don't give a shit. They was both very lovely ladies, and they was both hilariously funny with me. And I remember they asked me something one time. They said, "Hey, can you help me fix this?" And I went in, and their house was like a museum, the most manicured, exotic thing in which just
because
blew my
they
mind.
support each other in whatever it is that they want to do,
That's
because
it.
it's a healthy relationship.
And I'm like, but now I don't even know because they're
And the
they're
thing is,
in
Michael,
their 80s or dead
if
now.
you
but-
look back at your relationships that you've had, and I mean this, I mean, you and I have spoken at length. A lot of them were car crashes, right? I've
car
been
crash.
there, I've done it.
There's a car crash on the back of a train crash with an airplane flying in the front of it.
But
It was a total
you
shit
get
show.
used to having a car crash because that's
yeah.
what the norm is. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
hang
That
on,
was my normal. Yeah.
and when you actually get a relationship that is good and there isn't any problem, you go, hang on a minute, there's something wrong here. Like, why are they doing this? Why is this not happen? Because we get so in our lifetime, we get so used to the negative, then we actually get used to the positive. And there are really, really good relationships out there.
You're
Very,
waiting for
good
the hand grenade to land in your lap.
that know what they want and work on it and are consistent and will encourage you and bring you up to where they, up here.
You know what? Now, when a woman is good to me, like in a relationship, like, I think it's a damn psyop. I'm thinking, what is she plotting? What is her agenda?
What's wrong? Why is she being nice to me?
Why aren't we arguing? Why isn't this a conflict? Why isn't this a big deal? That everywhere else I went, this was a big fucking deal.
Why
And
don't
now-
they just accept me? What
It's
they
it,
accept me
yeah.
for just who I am. They don't want to change me.
And it's it. And I've got to a point where it's like, holy shit, this is a psyop. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, that goes back to like the car crash on the back of a plane or train crash. Like I said, and you're waiting for the mushroom cloud for it to implode and all go to shit. And you're just sitting there waiting. And you're thinking, is this Pandora's box? Is this a ticking time bomb? All of the bad shit that I should not have read too much.
They're bound to show me something in a moment. I'm bound to see the bad side. We're so looking for that I think that we actually self-sabotage.
Oh yeah.
I remember dating someone last year, and we were, we got on really well. And I remember him saying to me, I self-sabotage.
Yeah.
It's too good. It's too good to be true. Something's bad's going to happen. We're getting on really, really well. And at the same time, something bad's got to happen. It's too good to be. If it looks too good to be true, it's got to be good to be true.
It probably is. Yeah.
And this is where I want to bring in our future show that's coming up with a very special person and a very special guy. Mr. Dwayne Klassen, who is coming to join us. And we are absolutely thrilled because this is an absolute, what do they call it? An exclusive. He has a new book coming out, which is, Dwayne Klassen's work is phenomenal. He does The Remarkable Man. He should be doing The Remarkable Women because I think he would help so much. He's an amazing guy. And he's been through a lot in his life, and he's coming on. He's written this book, but he's written it for the ladies to encourage their men to their partners, to be remarkable. And he's going to come on and talk about his life because it's not been an easy life for him. He's been through a hell of a lot of shit, and he's changed him to who he is. He's still learning and growing. But Dwayne is he'll either be here next Sunday, or it will be the other Sunday, because we have another show bringing this on, coming in with a fantastic lady who's in Bulgaria. And she has literally done an animal rescue all on her own. And as I said, here on Wicked Women, we like to give back. And last year we did the lovely animal center in Macedonia, and now we're looking at one in Bulgaria. And it's also about women, empowering women. Wicked Women is very much about empowering women. That's the reason we started this. And even though we have guys on that gives us their opinion, it is all about empowering women. And so Dwayne, I'm really looking forward to having him on. I think a lot of people will get a lot from him. He's very clued up, and he's in the UK right now. He's from Calgary, so he's an honorary Brit, but he's actually from Calgary. I've known him many years. He's a lovely guy, and he's not hard to look at, ladies. So he's very lovely. So he will be here either next week or the following one. And also, as I say, we have the Animal Rescue too. And we also have coming up our Halloween special, where we haven't decided what we're dressing like, but people keep saying, Wendy, I want to see you with dark hair. And I'm like, what? What is all that about?
I think we need to
we need a Morticia.
Elvira. Yeah, Elvira. I think you'd make either out or what was the lady that played Lily Munster?
Lily Munster. I think Morticia is more me, because love the dress, love. I mean, Elvira is great too. I don't know if I can get the cleavage exactly as she's got it, but I'll give it a go.
I'm sure you can.
I met her one time, and it was about 10 years ago. She was doing a show, and that one was like 90 years old and still getting it in. I was like, holy shit, Elvira is still hot as hell. You know what I'm saying? Because, that was like, everybody's talking about never meet your heroes or whatever. But growing up, Elvira was like the dark queen of Halloween. And it's like, and every young man or young boy was like, that's what I want. It's like, she's going to put a spell on you or whatever. But no, it is that spooky time, as you can tell by the name in the show, Wicked Women. But we all need to be a little bit wicked in this time of year. We can get away with it.
Well, it's Sundays. You need a bit of wicked. But the thing is, with Halloween coming up, and we have only a couple of Sundays left in October. We have 2, actually. And then we have the 2nd of November, which may be our Halloween show. I'm not sure yet. But we will do that. But I also want, and I'm going to try and get in touch with them, to do Jack the Ripper, because I've been trying to bring this one in for quite a while now. And a couple of people I know who've written books on Jack the Ripper have been, have approached us and said, yeah, we want to come on. Wicked Women, as you know, is for women, but also when we do Jack the Ripper, we're looking at the women that Jack the Ripper, not Jack himself, because everybody knows about Jack, but it's about these women. And Val and I looked briefly on them, but it's like being a woman back in that time was incredibly difficult and
dangerous.
It was very scary. So I want to kind of look at that as well. There's so many things to look at, and Sundays are we try really hard to bring it on, and we're also trying to change the show. You're probably feeling a different energy with Sparky coming on board and joining us, and Michael now on more. I mean, obviously Val and I, we're the co-host, and literally with her not being here, there's that. We're missing a little twang from the Virginia side, which I know should be back.
Let's switch over and start talking like this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I spoke to Sparky last night to check on. I was like, "Come over here, we'll teach you talk just like us, and you'll be like us. You'll fit right in."
I'd love to talk like that. I think it's wonderful. But I also want people to say to us about subjects they want us to tackle as well, because if there's something going on that you want us to talk about and look at. One things I will looking at, these are a couple of subjects that are coming up. One is going to be divorce. We have not looked at divorce and the sides of that, especially for ladies. And the other one is, and this is a subject that Val and I have talked about for a while, and we felt that we should look at it, which is, and it's quite a sensitive subject, but if you have a sexual disease or an infection and you're in a relationship, the kind of problems it can cause long down the road. And a lot of people don't look at that. They don't talk about that. And there are lots of different ups and downs with it. Val and I talked about doing this a while ago because you don't often see a lot of people talking about it. It's a very private thing, of course, but it's like we're just going to have a look and talk it and bring it out there. So I think that these are some of the subjects we want to look at, and also we talked about as well, bringing in other subjects as well. So we're open to it all. But as I said, we all have busy lives. Shit happens. And sometimes we're here and sometimes we're not. Robertson, I hope to one day be back with Robertson with Scotty. A while. He's doing really, really well, but it's going to take him a while to get himself back out.
He's looking a lot better. He's looking a lot better. And
still here, but I really look forward to having that. Michael and I are still in the early preparations. We've been trying. Our lives are just crazy busy, but to bring up Wicked History, that is something that's in the works. And also, it's a new exclusive here. Wicked Women are actually thinking of running. We're actually thinking of doing a day show. We haven't done a day show for a while. So we're actually thinking of doing an afternoon show, a day show, so that those that are around us in the daytime can have us on in the background. We used to do a KB, collaboration, but this might just be us going live in the day show. And also, we are still also thinking of doing little classes, because people have actually reached out to us and said, will you do a class on self-esteem, confidence, etc.? And I think, wow, how amazing is that they would come to us. So we are all thinking about that. So we are evolving and our show is changing, and I hope people are enjoying it.
And like I said, I work my tail off, not that they don't, to get these girls monetized, so they can bring more things in and put more shows out. And the other day when I was talking, there's a couple people that I said that I really watched and wanted to emulate. One was Scotty, and to see Scotty sick and whatever now, it breaks my heart. A man's words flows like honey. His poetic intellect that he puts from pen to paper or whatever is just like, holy shit. And the other one is Professor Bowers. I see him in the background. And I don't know what journey he's on, but I've seen him kind of metamorph into this. I think he's living in a VW microbus or something now, doing that. But no. But if Professor Bowers could reach out, because the unapologetic male is going to be the other thing for like Wicked Women. And I've been looking for a co-host that is intellectually sound, that can keep me in line, because I do go squirrel with the ADHD. I'm looking for the anchor to sit beside me that is emotionally grounded enough to pull me back in for when I do go on a rant, or I wander off with the fairies and in the woods and get lost, and bring me back. And it has been a hell of a journey to try to find somebody that's willing to sign up and talk about the male issues, just like, and the reason I support them. And like I said, I grew up, I know the struggles that women go through day to day. And I said, if you, to be a good man, you got to support the women in your life and not let nobody be mean to them or talk down to them or whatever. You got to be the change you want. So, but with the apologetic male, what women, and, there's two sitting here and I'm personally, but, I always said most women want a man's man, a decent dude. He protects, he provides, and he does the right thing. Slow to anger, don't raise a hand, but will also protect you. And that's what the unapologetic male is going to be, because at the end of the day, if you're going to be a man, be a man. And like I said, I'm looking for the co-host, and I just have not had anybody stepped up willing to take that bullet yet.
It does take obviously I do predominantly most of the work for Wicked Women, but it's like literally, it is, you've got to have that fire in your belly. You've got to want to come out here. You've got to want to talk about it. You're putting yourself out there. There's always that
in front of a camera. It's really hard in front of a camera.
It's out there forever. So I think you've got to, and I don't, what you see on me on here, this is me. This is Wendy. Anyone who watched it would actually say that is Wendy you're seeing. So I'm no different, apart from the fact that I can always show you how shit I'm feeling. But what you see is what you get, totally, with me. But I think one thing I'm learning about Wicked Women along the way is that we had a lot of people in the beginning that didn't actually think that we would go, as you know, we'd still be going. We had a lot of ladies that have come along the way and join us, but life comes along. They've had to change their life, their routine. And I think Val and I felt that we wanted to stick to a familiar show, so people knew exactly who they were seeing and what they were getting.
Yeah.
And I think that we're so lucky that we've had people along the way, that wonderful people that have joined us. But I think if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what we're really excited about now is doing these classes, because maybe we'll record them off camera, and then they'll be on their YouTube page so that you can watch them and you can hear from them.
That's another way to reach people in that way as well.
Sure.
And that's what, you know, and I'm really been pushing for like Rumble, because you can talk a lot more things on Rumble without being chastised. And I was sitting here talking about the different women that she's, you know, I think, you know, Kay, the lovely Kay out of Canada, Kay was really low. Sabrina out of Arizona, and the one lady that you tried to get on was in Australia. I can't remember her name.
Yes, she would have been absolutely amazing. And obviously Carly joined us as well. She was with us for a while, and I think what it is we literally just took a look at Wicked Women and decided that we wanted to, like, you know, it was obviously like host and co-host, and that's exactly where we are, which is why we've changed things, and we're evolving and changing. And if Val, you know, obviously I am the main host, but obviously if I'm not here, then there is no show. But if I am here and Val's not here, the show will go on. That's the way it is. And Val has her show. We have to talk about Val's show. She was there last night on Facebook. Myths, Legends of the Paranormal. She was there last night.
She was there with her daughter Emily. Both of them looked lovely, and they talked about serial killers. And she said,
"Oh, she'd love that."
Oh yeah, and you know, and then she was talking about, you know, I raised my daughters like this. I said, you know, that's the reason. Another reason men don't want bad relationships. All these women watch CSI and all of these things on like how to kill people and get away with it, and you wonder why men run. You know what I'm saying? Oh, poor old Uncle Dave. Okay, I was going to ask you. I saw
someone a bad person if they don't want a relationship. Not at all. If they don't want a relationship. Steve, you cannot. She's only on Facebook. I have said she could come on here, but she's only on Facebook. That's where her show is.
Rasnick.
Regarding that question, is someone a bad person if they don't want a relationship? I also see it as, so long as you establish early on in the friendship that there is not going to be a relationship between the two of you, because the last thing that you want to happen is for you to go, if you change your mind later on and go, oh, actually, I think I could do with a relationship and we could be in a relationship together, awesome. But if someone comes into a friendship with you and they have the initial reaction of, I would like to be in a relationship, establishing that early on is such a key thing. So key. Because I personally have had to do that with a few people where it's like, this isn't going to go anywhere. I'm happy to be friends with you, but I'm not looking for a relationship. I don't want a relationship. It's not happening. Just establishing.
So you're saying set your parameters hard and fast and fair.
Yeah.
And,
Make sure your boundaries are there.
Oh, Dave.
I think you tell someone, don't you? Straight. I mean, Mark. I mean, let's use lovely Mark English with a Q. Mark English. He doesn't want a relationship and he doesn't mind like going out, having a drink, having a bite to eat. He doesn't want a relationship. He's happy on his own, and he makes that point straight away. You know, he's like, this is it. And everyone thinks Mark and I are married, which is obviously a wonderful compliment for him. But you know what I mean is that, you know, we get on so well. We must have that old married couple vibe. But I good on him.
But if anybody ever seen his page
and doesn't want one, doesn't feel the need. I will say that when we do the daytime show, it is going to be more open mic. It is going to be more the fact we're not going to have a subject. It's going to be the fact that, you know, come on, join us. listen to some of the
on in my pajamas.
crazy stuff. It will be a very different show. But I think it'll be probably around 2:00 in the afternoon, Jobby. And I think it will run for the same sort of like 2 hours sort of thing. But I think we haven't done it for a while, and I feel like we should do it. I think it would be really good. And these are all things that are about, I mean, Christmas is coming up and everyone's getting busy. I'm hoping to fly out and have a bit of a break. So, you know, we're going to bring different elements coming into the show. So please stay with us on our journey. We are still evolving. We're quite young, you know, Wicked Women's quite young.
Is that 2:00? Is that 2:00 UK time or 2:00?
It'll be 2:00 UK, which what that time?
9 a.m. Eastern.
No, we're
so 2:00
it's 6:24 here now because I know we're getting ready to go into daylight saving time.
7:00 MST, 7:00, and then 8 and 9.
So
it'll be early morning. It'll almost be like a KB. You know,
you'll see me with a cup of coffee in my pajamas. Sorry.
Yes, you'll have to get up early.
I'm a party man.
Lordy mercy, community.
But I think it's good to bring it, and also Val. Like, obviously, she's not here. She could show you all the stuff. We've got the mugs, the key rings, the glitter, which I haven't seen. And one of these days, I mean, literally, lives are crazy, and I will get the web page is already there. We just need to put it up. Val is she's got a lot on her plate as well right now, so that's why.
But I was asked today, why don't you get them on Spotify? I said, I've been beating that horse for 2 years, lady. I wish I could. She said, can I see it on Apple Music or whatever playlist?
You can put us on Spotify if you want.
Oh Lord!
And we have thought about Rumble.
Yeah, Rumble. Yeah, Rumble is the jungle right now. Rumble is the Wild West. You can get away with a lot of stuff on Rumble.
We have thought about Rumble too.
And like I said, and I think with the StreamYard that you can send it to multiple destinations, which Rumble would be good, and you can automatically do it to like StreamYard and some other things too, which would be really good. You know, you can't be afraid to grow, and you can't hold yourself back. And I've told them that for a long time, and oh bless her heart, she's got the cough and the giggles. But I don't know. But like I said, now we got our IT person right there with Wendy all the time. She's like, I'll fix it. Give me a hammer. And I'm like, yeah.
You're great. You're great to the team. But we hope everyone's had a really interesting time. We try not to go on and waffle on for too long, but it's been a really interesting show. I'm looking forward to next week. So next week's going to be either Dwayne or it will be the Animal Rescue, one of those two. And then the week after that, I think that's too early for the Halloween one. So I think our Halloween is we don't do it on the 31st. It will be the 2nd of November.
I do Halloween 365, honey. It's never too early for Halloween.
Absolutely.
I keep my Halloween decorations up all year, and everybody's like, why don't you take that down? I'm like, this is my decor. People get used to it. I'm a little bit sick and twisted. And, but no, I was telling Wendy, I said, since she's your helper, assistant, or whatever, I was like, do we get to share custody of Sparky? Because I need an assistant here too. We'll just have her. She'll be jet lagged as fuck.
I've also noticed your backing is different. There's no flag behind you, Michael.
Because somebody told me that I had too much clutter in my studio. I needed to streamline my life and my shit. I'm like, okay.
No idea who that was.
Yeah, no idea. It's like, stay focused, fucker. Okay. You know, and then like I said, somebody popped in and saved my bacon. Bless him. But then I was like, okay, got to be focused. And I was really focused for about 3 hours to the point where.
I think it's important, you know, when you're doing this, when I come on, I cannot work from a cluttered workspace. I cannot work.
And like I said,
I have to have destroyed. In a place for everything. And like Sparky, you saw me earlier on, I was like cleaning everything and getting my vibe up because I actually think I can't work with. And even like he's asleep down here, thank the Lord. But he's been really poorly this week. My poorly pup's been really poorly, and think, please be quiet because I'm doing the show, and thankfully he's out for the count. But I think it's important that when you're putting a show out, you've got to first of all hold the reins so it doesn't all go all over the place. And that's become, I've learned so much from Scotty. I learned so much from Scotty. That man is honey in the ears. I've known him over 20 years now, and he taught me so much. I've watched him over the years, and indeed Mark, I learned from Mark as well. They were great mentors, and I think I never thought I'd be out here doing it, and I actually think now, oh my God, I used to be really scared, but now I'm like, I really enjoy it. And Sparky, you've brought that sort of energy. You're in your element.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love this kind of
fresh energy. She hasn't been beaten down by age yet. She's still got that youthful drive to her.
Yeah, the thing is because I stream, and I've been streaming for 8 years, and I have spent my life in theatre or either on stage or on screen or anything like that. My vibe is entertainment. Yeah. So if I could do anything, then I'm game, really.
Yeah, I'm trying not to read the comments over here because I was trying not to distract myself. I think I've done pretty well today. But I see where Steve says, Scotty seems one of our treasures. And Scotty, he is. And like I said, and I tease Professor Bowers. That's Robert Bowers. If you don't know, he does things on YouTube also. And I tease him about now, when I first met Professor Bowers, the hair was all neat and his studio looked all pristine. It looked like something out of a movie set. And I thought, motherfucker, one day I will get there. Then I started collecting trinkets and I wanted all my little Easter eggs. And next thing you know, I had a pile of shit. And so now I'm redoing it. But, I still got the flag over here. The flag will move back here. I'm looking for a Canadian flag because, we've had a Canadian lady on the show. And, I got my support from Las Vegas, and they're sending me a Mexican flag, and everybody's like, I can't believe you put that up. Fuck, I'm an international man of mystery. I want everybody to like me and get a little bit of like it. You know what I'm saying?
Flag. I mean, obviously,
because Canadian, Katie, very low.
We miss Kay.
We do, Kay's a force of nature. Sabrina was also a force of nature. Sabrina was like, wow.
Sabrina was great too. And it's like, it's not the fact that we wouldn't have the ladies back, but it's to say Kay's life is completely different and she just doesn't have the time. But she always says to me, I still watch from time to time. And also I think Rose was from Macedonia. She joined us for her rescue, and I'm so proud of that girl.
Talking about empowering women. That woman was fighting an uphill battle because if you don't know about how them countries work, women have no rights. They're second-class citizens, and the animals she was rescuing, the locals thought was a nuisance. So if you're feeding a nuisance animal, you become the nuisance. And that woman was really, really fighting the thing. And there's Elisa. I see Elisa. She told you, I cannot read the comments. I get distracted. We see you.
This is why I don't put them on. And I must say, Steve, if you ever want to come on, because you're very great, you're very much involved in the conversation. I appreciate it. We'd love you to come on and show us and talk to us. And Eliza, she says, hey, Mike. Well, hi, Eliza, from me and Sparky too.
Hi, right?
Yeah, what about us? We're here. Say hi to us.
That's part of the Las Vegas connection. She's married to Dave's nephew, and me and Eliza, we have a bit of sporting fun back and forth, and little verbal jousting. And most of the time,
but do come on and say hello to all of us because we're all here.
She's going to get it now. Look at this shit. Talking about distracting me. Mike is my grandpa. You know what I'm saying? I want to show her what grandpa is. Yeah. So you just let me get my cane and walk over there. I'll beat your ass with it.
Well, coming up to 2 hours, I'm going to call time on Wicked Women. But it's like, thank you so much to everybody that's joined us tonight. Look out. If you are not on Facebook, using Steve here as an example, we are on Instagram, and if you're going to find out if we're going to do an afternoon. If you're on the YouTube, then you're actually going to find, because you're going to see notifications. So click that bell and make sure you keep looking out for us as well, because at the end of the day, I'm just going to mute Michael's messages for a little bit. We want you to join us. Steve, thank you, would be overstimulation for me, but I love supporting from the chat. Oh, thank you very much. And it is, I know it's not for everyone. So yeah, Sparky, it's been fun.
Always fun. Always very enjoyable. I love our chat on a Sunday evening. And I'm so glad that I'm able to be part of this amazing thing that you've created. So thank you for allowing me to still be here. I don't know how I'm still here, but I'm still here.
I think I like the energy you bring, and I think the difference. Val and I are very different, but we come from very different energies, and I think as I said, she's had some problems and health issues. I've had, and life goes on. It's her mum's birthday today, so she's going to obviously be with her mum. But we're trying to keep the show going. So at the end of the day, it's not always easy. It's not always easy to be here. I mean, I'm Sunday night. You guys over in Virginia are some Sunday afternoon, but
6:34 right now.
I love the energy that you bring, and just come on down. We love you joining us. And Michael, of course, has been our ardent supporter since we started.
Train, planes, and automobiles, honey. I will sing Wicked Women too. I got 2 subscribers on an airplane in mid-flight. And I tell them, if everybody hustled like a crackhead, we'd have the 1,000 subscribers. And everybody's like, are you embarrassed to talk to these people? I was like, fuck no. What are they going to do? Kick my ass, take my birthday? Tell me to fuck off.
We try to keep the podcast not too long, because obviously, it wanders off into different directions. But then when we come off, people go, oh, actually, you should have stayed longer. And it's like, well, it's just gone 25 to 12 in the UK here. So it's a very different time. But I had fun. I'm really looking forward to next week, because it's going to be an amazing show. Look out for the who's going to be, which guests we're going to have on. It's going to be so nice to have a new guest, and hopefully Val will be back here as well. So thank you, Sparky. Thank you. My cat is still going crazy here. Thank you, Michael, as always. And I want to wish everybody a wonderful week. Thank you very much, Eliza. I wish I can't say that I like my accent, because it's just all I've known. I listen to Michael's and I'm like, I wouldn't mind that one. It's a lovely twang.
I tell them that our accent here, and I know you were wrapping the show up, but a little history, like Wicked History, is the accent that we have in the Southern Appalachian Mountains, Eastern North Carolina, East Tennessee, and Southwest Virginia, and all these in Western North Carolina is very close to the original accent. It came over from the Scottish and the Welsh and the English that came over and settled the New World before we become ungrateful colonists, right? And I always said, the one of the reasons, and the English flag is still over there, and it'll be moved over. It just takes time to redo whatever. Is one of the reasons that I really have a really close tie to England is, that's where I come from. And I always had that, but this accent is very close to what the English people sounded like when they came over. And I do not know where everybody else went. I'm like, holy hell! Okay.
We were just giving.
And I'm like, okay, now for my next trick, I can make women disappear quick, just like my real life. But
we were giving you the spotlight because you were giving us the fact.
No, but
I just saw the moment that you noticed, and then you went, "Wait, hang on a minute."
I thought you were talking about technical difficulty again. I was going to say, well, it's really been nice seeing y'all, but I got to go. And no, it's not. But no, this accent, I think the reason that Wendy thinks it's adoring, which a lot of times my accent, I'm like, holy hell, I do not sound like I know anything about nothing.
Well, what you're saying is that obviously we came over.
Yeah.
to your
Yeah, the
from
Jamestown.
UK.
Yeah.
And our accent's very similar. If you slowed yours down, it would be quite British.
And I sent her. I remember a couple of years ago, I sent her the thing, and it's like, this is so close. And the reason it stayed so authentic, why the ones in the UK kind of changed or whatever, or the other European nations, is because all the people that had migrated in and immigration and stuff like that, their accent got kind of hollowed out. And we was here in the mountains. We didn't have nobody coming in telling us that we did not talk the proper way. So we just kept it. And that's what's saying. I can turn it way up. I try not to, because trying to have a conversation with somebody on an IT call, like, well, I want my TV work, then they're like, holy fuck, where's this guy from? I bet he ain't got shoes and 3 teeth.
Like sometimes,
Yeah,
I find it amazing. As I'm always going to end Wicked Women, I'm watching the viewing figures going up
and they're going up, and it's like,
where are all these people? Like,
I can
joining us.
I can talk for days. Hot wicked women. Thank you, Dave. I'll try my best to be hot every time I work on my girls.
Let the ladies take over Girls Route. It's true, but we let him come on, because at the end of the day, we'd like more guys. And Jason obviously tried to join us tonight. He couldn't get on.
You know what?
We've had Scotty, we've had Ken. Keith often comes on and joins us as well. We'd like more people to come and join us. Come on, guys. You want to get your point across? Come and join us.
I need help. And that's like,
I need help.
I need help. It's like,
you hold your own.
I do. And, and that's like when people said something, I said, there's a reason I'm Mr. Wicked and you're not. I do
we let him.
Yeah, that's it. Because I've been vetted, and they know I'm harmless. I'm more bark than bite. And I was.
Were you, David? I don't remember that.
I think early on. I think
probably
early on.
Number 47 show.
Yeah.
And so 3 more to go before we get to the big 50.
She said, you ladies are making me look good. You know what? I don't hang out with ugly women for a reason. I'm like, why would I? If you have a choice, you don't.
If you think Michael's wild when he goes off on the squirrel, you should see him when we do a daytime version.
With no medication.
But David, maybe you should come on and join us and give us your opinion as well. And also, we are a family, and I'm very grateful to the loyal supporters that come back and watch us time and time again. We are actually, with Scotty being off the air as much and KB not doing as many shows and Vals, it's nice that Wicked Women is up here holding down the fort, and flying the flag. So
but the one that gets me is Terry. Terry supports from the background, and poor old Uncle Terry catches shit from everybody. And I'm like,
we love you, Terry.
And poor old Terry. And now Terry has his own fan club in Vegas, and they love Uncle Terry or Grandpa Terry. And but Terry needs to come on. But Terry, Terry would come on with KB in the morning, and kind of be in the echo chamber with KB. I told him, I said, you need to come.
I was beaten down by a woman saying your option didn't matter. When was that? Was that on the show?
No, not on here. No, he's probably talking about it in life. I was beating down.
What he's saying is I was beaten down by women saying
your opinion doesn't matter. That his opinion didn't matter. I'm taking it, and Dave can correct me if I'm wrong. I think he's saying is that in the past, that some of the relationships he is in, he was beaten down by a woman keep telling him over and over, look, you're just a man. Your opinion don't matter. It don't matter what relationship you're in, man, woman, male, female, any relationship. Never let the other person.
We would never do that.
What I'm saying?
Wicked Women would never do that. We pride ourselves on that.
And I don't know if Dave was talking about Wicked Women. I think he's Mike.
I am going to shut the show down. So listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We had a great time. Sparky, Michael, let me just bring up my music, which is here. We look forward to seeing you next week. Please come back and join us, 9:00 London, UK, apart from today when we had a technical glitch. 2 p.m., if I can get this right, 2 p.m. Mountain, 3 p.m., is it CT?
Central. Central.
ET.
And 4 ET. And 9:00 UK.
So yes, we're the late shift coming in here.
Oh, yeah,
Have a great week. Be
But before
kind
you
to yourselves and each other. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel.
go, no, no, Dave. He said yes, Mike. 'Cause what I was saying is he's over here, and he was like, and that's what he was saying is yes, it wasn't wicked women, it was another women in his past because I just didn't want
We
people
got
to
that
feel.
one. We sussed it out. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, I didn't
Anyway,
want
my
Dave
darling,
getting hate mail.
lovely to go. Have a great week. See you soon. I'm just about to play it out. I'm just trying to find it. Here it is. See you all soon, guys.
Bye.